Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Ron, and today we're going to be doing a Killing Floor 2 video, but this one's going to be a bit different than our other ones. I've been recently requested a bunch of times to go over what settings I use in the game, and what kind of equipment I use and stuff like that. I will be going over that, not in particularly great detail, but I will be showing you my options, what I use, why I use them, and just all of my settings in general. So first up, I should say that I do play Killing Floor 2 on Steam, so I do play it on PC, but I do play it with a controller, specifically this one. This is a Razer Wolverine Tournament Edition controller. So this is a bit more expensive than a regular Xbox controller, and it has additional features that regular Xbox controllers don't. For one, it has a much more mechanical feel whenever it's any of the D-pad, as well as there's not any sort of like space in between for toggles and stuff like that certain other Xbox controllers have. Other than that, the standard layout is pretty normal in the front. We have some additional switches up here at the top. There is 2 more buttons up there that I use. These are toggled to the X and Y buttons, I believe, which makes it much easier to be running around and hit those. So my reload and my weapon switch, I use them a lot, as well as the heal. The heal and the reload are actually toggled together on an Xbox controller, and I believe a PlayStation controller as well. Well, I've got the stops back here, so I don't have to press down the triggers as much, but I don't use them. I just have it standard that way. And then there's also 2 more buttons at the very back right here. I don't know if you guys can really see them all that easily. Let me try to get it in the light. Those ones which are toggled to the A and B buttons. So this way I can jump and I can move and I can do all this without ever having to take my thumbs off of the sticks, which helps a lot. It's how I can switch between weapons so fast. Even in this game where if you're on controller and you don't know, you have to hold in your, like if you want to get to your knife, you have to hold in your, I believe it's the Y button, and then cycle through it on the D-pad. So if you're doing that in-game, you're taking your fingers off the sticks, which makes it so you can no longer move, which is pretty dangerous in this game when you're playing on higher difficulties. I don't have to do that because I can just select this and then move it around very quickly, or if I do, I have to move my thumb off of one stick very shortly. So that's pretty much all the controls for this handle. So why do I use the handle over mouse and keyboard? Well, I just wasn't very comfortable with mouse and keyboard for a very long time. I really didn't use it for most games unless there was no other option, or I used it for like point and click games or whatever it might be. I didn't find the movement all that nice on mouse and keyboard, and now that I have like 900 hours in this game, almost 1,000 hours I believe, it's just much easier for me to just stay with the controller. I don't see a huge difference in it. Yes, my accuracy is not as good as if I'm using the mouse, but I don't have like the mouse and keyboard set up for this game at all. It's all just base stuff, and I can already tell that the sensitivity of the mouse is way too high for me anyway. In this particular game. So I would recommend toning that down if you're not used to that, or getting a very low DPI mouse. For anybody wondering what mouse I use, this is just a, what is this? A Razer Death Adder Elite. I just got it on sale. And it works pretty well. It's got like 4 DPI settings, front, back, basic mouse stuff. Works pretty well. Same with my keyboard is another Razer thing. Razer should really sponsor me, because I don't have a sponsorship for any of this. This is a Razer Deathstalker keyboard. Very large keyboard, has all the basic keys. Not a mechanical keyboard, I don't believe. Pretty nice though, so that's what I use. I use these more for first-person shooter games anymore. If I'm playing Rainbow Six, if I'm playing Hunt Showdown, if I'm playing Payday, anything like that, I use mouse and keyboard for now. Deep Rock as well. But Killing Floor, I use the controller. So let's go over to our options, and I'll go through everything that I have there. Some is just set to the stock, others I've changed, so I'll be going over that. First off, in the video section, aspect ratio is set to 16:9. Resolution is just maxed out with my monitor, which is 1920 by 1080. I do have graphic settings to ultra, just because everything looks a bit better then. And this game isn't too hungry for FPS, in my opinion. There are some dips in it, so if you just want the most FPS, just set this to low. Vertical sync is off. Display is set to full screen because it just looks nicer. Variable frame rate I don't have turned on. You could if you want, but I've noticed there being some stuttering whenever I've turned it on, so I just don't use it very much. Film grain, either this is maxed out or nothing. I think it's nothing. I do not have the NVIDIA Flex on. This is only for people that have NVIDIA graphics cards. Mine's a GTX 1070 Ti that I use. This turns on the Gibson fluid, so things can be even more gory and gross, but you will see a tank in frames whenever you do this, especially if there's lots of things dying at once, so it's not really the best for performance. And the gamma, I just have this set to max. It makes it much easier for recordings and for live streams. That way I don't have to go into like my software that I use to stream and then set the night filters on more so that it becomes much brighter and dark maps so that anybody can actually see. Anybody that isn't aware, whenever I upload any videos, whether that be live streams or actual videos to YouTube or to Twitch or to Facebook, there is a compressor that they put on their videos. It doesn't affect mine as much because I render all of my videos in 2K, so if you want to, or 1440p, whichever one you'd like to say, that makes it so I get the better compressor on my YouTube videos, so it is more bright, more well lit, less compressed, and less dark than usual. So that's a trick that I've kind of learned to do. But in live streams, it's still going to look darker than it is. That's why certain maps are real difficult to film and why you don't see them too often on the channel. Like Farmhouse is pretty dark, so I have to add additional filters when I edit it and things like that. So I just put the gamma all the way up so that you can see on the majority of maps. And any sort of advanced things, these are all just set to the ultra settings. So again, if you don't care about any of this, I would just set it to low. That way you get the most FPS. It's not going to look terrible or anything like that. Killing Floor looks pretty good, even on low. Everything else just set to normal. Nothing real special there. Back in audio, I do have these settings moved around quite a bit. Master volume is a little bit lower than normal. Special effects volume is a little bit high. This is just so that I can hear gunshots a little bit easier and kind of tell where teammates are. Dialogue volume, it really doesn't matter. If you like hearing the characters' voices, have it as high as you want. If you don't, put it to nothing. In-game volume, or in-game music volume, I have rather low. The music in this game can get kind of loud, as well as it's just easier for editing again. If I want to insert music into the video, I can, without it being me trying to mess with the in-game audio and stuff like that. So, set that low. Voice chat I also set kind of high because some people have lower mics. This doesn't help if somebody's screaming into their mic, obviously, but if somebody's just talking normally, it might be more difficult to hear them because of whatever settings. Push to talk's on, music volumes are off, or the music vocals are off. That's, again, just another thing for editing. It makes it much easier that way. Minimize battle chatter I just don't have. I think that's also character voice, or maybe it's push to talk as well. I could be wrong, I don't know. I don't think I've touched it. And then configure microphone is just the microphone that I'm using right now, which, for anybody that's wondering, it's an Audio Technica AT 2020. So, if anybody wants to know what my mic is, that's what it is. Alright, in controls, I do have some of these changed around. Again, for my mouse settings, these are not accurate and not what I'd recommend, at least for me. They seem way too high. I would put this much lower, both with the zoom and the regular sensitivity. Even on my lowest DPI setting, this still feels like it's way too fast. Like, I just can't aim. I'm jumping around too much. So, wouldn't recommend that. No invert Y, no mouse smoothing. Controller, these are my settings. So I have 100 sensitivity, 80 zoom sensitivity, and 20 dead zone. I'm not sure if these are the basics, or the base settings for the controller. You can ramp them up quite a bit. That can be kind of good. You can set your own settings if you want, especially if you're playing one class in particular, like Berserker, where aiming doesn't really matter and you just want to spin around faster. You could put it to a higher sensitivity. But then for like somebody like Sharpshooter, you probably want it lower, so that way you can't aim. These are all just my settings, though. Accelerated jump, I actually don't know what the heck this is, so I think it's set to base. Invert Y is off. I have no aim assist except for on rotation. There is an aim assist for the controller, but I don't particularly like it. It mostly wants to aim for body shots, which is perfectly fine if you're playing somebody like Firebug or Support, or somebody who doesn't really care about headshots. I don't have any aim assist on my controller just for that reason. I do have the aim assist on the rotation. That's simply so I turn when a like a rioter or a clot grabs me, because I want to get rid of that threat immediately. It's really annoying if you don't have this turned on, and you get grabbed from the back because then you have to spin all the way around to hit something or shoot it and then turn back. It just wastes extra time in my opinion, so I have that one turned on. For key bindings, I think I have all the regular key bindings. I don't think I've changed any of them, both for the mouse or for the controller. In my button layout, it's the same. It's in default, which is a little bit annoying, as you can kind of see some of these just aren't in the best positions. And there isn't really like a way to actually map each of these. You have to either set it to default, quick draw, jumper, or southpaw. I mean, obviously use southpaw if you're left-handed. That's just going to help you. Jumper, I don't think I've tried. I don't know what it's really about. And quick draw, I've tried a bit, but I don't like the jump being on the left bumper there and the melee bash being A. It's just kind of weird. I usually just set it to default, and then like with my own controller, I can map out whatever keys or bindings I want on it through a different software. But I don't. This is all just set to standard stuff. And then I guess last is gameplay. What I have set in the gameplay, I have my FOV turned all the way up so that it's the widest so I can see the largest field of vision. I use that because most of this game is not fighting at extremely long range, and I just want to see the most amount of stuff around me. This is going to help me the most, especially with classes like Berserker, where you're going to be up close and personal anyway the majority of the time. Even if you're running ranged Berserker, you're still probably going to be fighting at medium range, and the widest field of view is just the best in my opinion. If you don't like that and you play sharpshooter a lot, maybe a smaller field of view might be a little bit easier to line up longer range shots, but I don't think that's super necessary either. The gore intensity is set to max. If you are having trouble running this game, then set it to low. That way it's just not going to be affecting your computer that much, but my graphics card's fine with this. The friendly HUD scale, I have it set up here. You can set this to whatever you want though, whatever size you would like. Really doesn't matter. That's own personal preference. I do not have crosshairs enabled. You can if you'd like, but I don't find the crosshair particularly useful in this game, and I just have never had it really on, so don't use that. Weapon quick select I like just because it lets me cycle through weapons faster. This isn't necessary if you're playing on keyboard, because then you can just hit whatever buttons you want and switch to that weapon. I do have enabled show Z kill ticker, so if you've ever seen this, which you usually can, it's usually up in the right hand corner. It will just show you all of the kills that you are getting personally, or all the kills that are associated with you. So you might be getting a whole lot more kills than what you're actually doing damage-wise if you're playing like Firebug. But I still find it useful. It's kind of helpful to know if that person that you shot is actually dead, or if you missed that headshot slightly or something like that. So I just kind of like it on there. Don't have the hide boss health bar. I don't see why you'd want that. Show welder in inventory I have. Use alt dual pistol aim. This just makes it so you aim down the pistol sights if you have two pistols. I don't use that sight that much anyway, and that's also your alternative fire, so you can switch it back and forth. So doesn't really matter. I don't have the auto turn on the clock grab because I already have the aim assist on clock grab. This might be more useful if you're playing on mouse and keyboard, but I think it's probably more or less the same. Disable auto trade. This just makes it so you are less likely to just hold in the button. For anybody that's not aware, if you go up to the trader and you hold in the button, it will just auto buy stuff for you based on whatever class you have, and sometimes it picks kind of weird options based on the maps, so I don't really like that. I don't know what disable remote headshot effect does. It's turned on though. Toggle sprint helps a lot with the controller because on mouse and keyboard it doesn't matter. You just hold in left shift and you can run pretty fast. If you're on controller, it's a pain just to be holding in the stick the whole time when you're moving, so I just have it set to off. And show legacy health bars makes it so that you can see your teammates' health bars too. I always have this turned on because this is really, really useful, and I would recommend everybody have this turned on just so that you know what your team is doing health-wise. So I guess those are all my settings for Killing Floor. They're kind of basic. I don't really know what else to tell you guys. I don't have any crazy settings or anything like that, like no super high sensitivity or custom mapping or anything like that. I don't hold my controller in a weird way because I've seen some people that hold it in like a claw grip like this, and it just seems kind of strange that it's like you can use all your fingers. With this particular controller, you can hold it normal and then you can use all the buttons pretty easily. So I guess that'll do it for this video. Thank you guys so very much for coming here and watching this. I really do appreciate it. If you guys would like to support the channel in any other way, you can go over to my merch store and buy new merch. We do have some cool stuff over there. You could also go over to the Patreon and support the channel through that for just $1 a month. If you guys are new here and you haven't already, be sure that you're subscribed. That way you get notifications whenever I post any of these videos. And I will talk to all of you guys next time. So until then, stay cool and bye!